on behalf of the Italian Ministry for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, I thank you for being so many here. First of all, I want to thank the co-organizer of this event, the Foreign Policy Association, that, by the way, will celebrate its centennial anniversary this year, and the Italian Institute for International Political Studies. Thank also to the chairs, so Maurizio Caprara, Gina Sick, and Maria Cuffaro, and our panelists. I'm sure that they will make today's sessions extremely interesting. A special thanks to our friend Ambassador Lewis Eisenberg and to Noel Latif and Paolo Magri. I will open just tracing some few remarks on the topics of the conference. The future of the security cooperation, current and future NATO initiatives. NATO is concerned by some challenges that could not be foreseen by its founding members 70 years ago. The organization is probably not facing a possible military attack by a hostile power, but a new series of threats: hybrid methods of warfare, terrorism, and the spillover of states fragmentation, especially from the southern shores of the Mediterranean. Instability in southern Mediterranean provoked indeed a dramatic migration crisis, which directly affects Italy. Let me add on this matter that for too much time we've been left alone in dealing with migration flows, which instead should be considered as a shared matter of concern for all EU. This is the reason why we now strongly ask for deeper European solidarity and burden sharing. There are significant issues in the world today that are affecting us since they create an unprecedented security vacuum. Civil wars in Syria, Iraq, Yemen, and Libya, sectarian conflicts, regional powers using the current situation to expand their sphere of influence, and finally, terrorist activities being exported into Europe. The instruments that NATO might use in order to counter these new threats are still a body of several discussions. We know that military intervention is not a solution per se without a consistent political process. It's a tool whose use is sensible only if it strengthens cooperative security and sound partnerships in the different areas of crisis. NATO has started to build a new culture of cooperation and partnership, starting from the launch of the Mediterranean Dialogue in 1994, and insisting on the complementarity of the European regional initiatives. The future development of this dimension is essential in order to face the multidimensional changes underway. Security in Europe is tied to the security and stability in the Mediterranean. And we are proud that at the summit in Brussels, our Ministry for Defense, Trenta, achieved this goal to put together on this direction all the member states and partners. The second point I want to tackle is the future of the relation with Russia. After almost 30 years from the fall of the Berlin Wall, the hope of creating a cooperative Euro-Atlantic security space is, to say at least, on hold. The eastern enlargement of NATO and EU towards areas traditionally under Russian influence were interpreted and perceived in a different way. Western countries consider it as a free and sovereign choice of states which wanted to join a common area of security and political stability, as well as economic prosperity, while Moscow reads the suspension as the Western attempt to subordinate Russia to destroy her global position and their economic and subordinate heir to the West. The root cause of the recent reshape of the Russian external relations is its political elite's perception that from the collapse of the Soviet Union, the country has become trapped by the West in a multifaceted deadlock, and that none of its fundamental security problems have been solved. The conflict with Ukraine and the annexation of Crimea have further worsened the scenario, triggering a mutually, and I insist on the word mutually, destructive process of Western sanctions and Russian countermeasures. We can agree or not with the analysis of the Russian elites, but if this is the perception, we cannot ignore it. We must instead make efforts to change it and to promote dialogue and mutual understandings. Russia is a pivotal actor in the international relations, whose role is crucial in the resolution of the main international crisis and terrorism. This is why Italy has always strained to privilege mutual dialogue and to keep communication channels with Moscow open, even during the harshest period of crisis. And a special attention has to be given to Russian civil society, which should not pay for political diatribe and should always be kept close to European values. We obviously expect that Moscow plays its part to re-establish the climate of mutual trust and cooperation, which has been affected by a series of negative issues and misunderstandings. But we always have to keep our doors open to reconciliation. The third point I want to look at is the future of the transatlantic trade. America's first approach, fostered by President Trump, has opened a new chapter for the future of transatlantic relations. A radical U-turn is taking place 70 years after the launch of Marshall Plan that provided support to European reconstruction, removed trade barriers among European neighbors, encouraged commerce between those countries and the USA. Trump's strategy seems to be successful, as it managed to achieve the recent US-Mexico-Canada agreement, which involves the largest regional market in the world. Following the well-known concept of level playing field, the US is claiming fairness in commerce by all the actors who should abide by the same sector rules. We fully share this claim. Italy has always been on the forefront for a new just and fair globalization. I don't think we are on the verge of a US-EU trade war, since it will delete 70 years of transatlantic relations based on mutual believing in free trade and democracy. However, it is unquestionable that the rules of international trade are changing, and that the world is gradually moving towards a more balanced and fair version of globalization. What should Europe do? Rather than escalate or capitulate, Europe, which is at its best a normative power per se, should contribute to the definition of a new rules of the game. The new order might offer several advantages as long as Europe will be competitive in a world where all participants will have to abide by the same principles. The coming years ask us to choose if managing the process rather than fail. Italy has chosen the first option, and we ask our friends, starting from the United States, to come together. Thanks.